Hello. The guy definitely has a fetish about cameramen. You lock me up in this little burnout strip and I'm going to try and get out of here no matter what. I'll be out of here this afternoon. I'll show you. Got to be one of the top contenders. Enzo Coco for Manondale, New South Wales. We did actually wear the guardrail then, did we? Jeez. Definitely got to be up there in the top 10.
Well, if you're one of the few who missed the biggest horsepower party of the year down here in Canberra, your prayers have been answered, because we're going to show you all the edited highlights of the Street Machine magazine Summernats 89. And the guy who's with me is the guy who spends just about all his life putting this great event together, the man with all the information, Chick Henry. Chick?
Yes, John, we'd worked hard all year to put together what we expected would be a great event.
Chick, we're looking at Friday, aren't we? Yeah, well, already the crowds are up.
Yes, John, it seems as though they'd got Christmas out of the way and they'd headed off full of anticipation for what they believed was a great event, because our publicity machine had put together a good package. There was a lot of exciting things to look forward to, and here we are on Friday, which is normally a fairly dull day. They've got through their registration and processing and they're hot to cruise, and there was a lot to look at. Look at the cars, a blue sky. It was a great looking day.
Chick, I've got to say the atmosphere too was totally different from the previous year. It was just a lot brighter, a lot happier.
Well, the first event is always a difficult one, and we'd had a few problems. We've ironed those out. We've had a great team, and there was a lot to look forward to.
Well, while the cars and everybody was cruising outside, dare I say they were all perusing inside. And again, look at the crowds. The numbers are up. Easy.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of people in that trade area. The traders had set themselves up on Friday, and we'd cut the numbers of traders down from last year, and that improves competition. And of course, these people are here to get a great bargain, but they're also here to see what the latest improvements are. I don't know whether that's an improvement. Well, it is an improvement from what he had last year, but it's a great opportunity for them to shop around, and it's on a day when there's not a lot of pressure, and that's Friday, and the traders are very pleased about that. In fact, the traders made a mozza on Friday.
Yeah, it was easy to see. There was a lot of wheeling and dealing going on, a lot of interest in all the exhibition, and there were smiles on both sides of the counter, Chick.
We had a lot of fantastic traders there, a lot of very well respected people in the industry, and the people that hadn't been to the Summernats before, I'm sure they got a surprise when they saw what was there and the type of traders that they could talk to. It was a great spot to be.
Ah, the sound of erupting engines, squealing tyres and burning rubber. Who was that masked man, Chick?
Well, that is actually one of the lovely ladies at the Summernats in that helmet, and she's giving this Falcon heaps.
Chick, this is another first. Warm-up heat?
Well, they haven't had much opportunity to practice this sort of stuff, John, and we figured that Friday was a good day to get it on.
This guy. Oh, the smell of burning rubber, Chick, brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah, and makes your eyes water from all that smoke too. And the crowd absolutely love it.
And, you know, these are only the practice laps or the warm-ups, and just a sign of things to come on this tape. And our old mate Milton 80 will be along with his great one-liners, and I assure you, he's a laugh a minute. But there was another guy that we caught up with, a fellow who has got a lot of interest in this event, the editor of the Street Machine magazine, Angus Mackenzie. And Angus, we asked him where the Street Machine was going and what he thought of the event from his point of view. A very interesting guy.
Well, I think this event's very important for a couple of reasons. Naturally, of course, it brings out the best cars in Australia, and the bottom line about Street Machine magazine is the cars. Our readers want to see cars, they want to see good cars, they want to see the best cars in Australia, because they're the cars that, while they might not be able to afford or have the skills to put together, these are the cars they aspire to build. They'll read our magazine and get ideas. So I think from that point of view, the Summernats is extremely important.
Right, day 3 of the Summernats, and it's the show and shine, New Year's Eve, would you believe? And all the people are back for this great event. Check the cars, even for me, a novice, the standard was a lot higher this year. Is that true?
It was, John. The higher level of the cars was a very, very pleasing standard. We'd in fact tightened up with the criteria for entry and made it tougher for cars that really only represented not much better than you would see in any shopping centre car park. So it was very pleasing to see a much better lower standard of cars. But of course what we've really come to see is the high standard vehicles, such as this little Gemini from Tamworth. That's an exceptionally good car, which proves that people with 4-cylinder cars can hack it with the V8 cars.
This car judged very well, as it turned out. But yeah, I agree, the variety, when we were shooting this year, it was so hard to pick a car to shoot. They all looked extremely high standard.
Because it's one of the very special things about the Summernats, that every time you turn around you see a different car, and a car of very high standard. There's just so much to see on Saturday. It's the only time in the whole weekend when all of the cars are sitting still in one place, and you can walk around at your leisure and have a really good look at the cars. I mean, have a look at this Chevy. That's a great car, that one. Very popular. Now there's a rare car. That's a 150 series 57 Chev. Not too many of them in the country.
Yeah, there was a lot of cars checking, and to be perfectly honest, you really needed 2 days to really go around and have a look at these cars. The show and shine, yeah, it was a real head turner.
Yeah, there was a good crowd there too, because Saturdays is a good day. The Summernats is different every day, and that's one of the special things about it too, that there is something there for everybody, and people get a bit concerned that they can't get to see all of the cars. Now, I don't know what we're going to do about these crowds. If there's a big crowd there, that's one of the things we want to see for sure, but sometimes it's hard to look at the cars just simply because of the crowd around them.
Here's a beautiful example of detail. You could spend an hour looking at this car, and the more you looked at it, the more you realise the work that went into this car.
That's one of the best GT Falcons in the country. That's an exceptionally good car. It always rates very, very highly, and you don't have to know much about cars to pick when you walk up to it that it is a great car. That blue and chrome it has always been my favourite.
It's almost like an art form.
Yeah, well it is. I mean, why shouldn't it be an art form? If we compare ourselves to the interests that other people have, we're no different. It really is an art.
Check the cars. How far did they come? There seemed to be a lot of Victorian cars as usual. We're seeing a lot of new cars this year.
Yeah, there are a lot of new cars, and the fact is they've come from all over, from every state in Australia.
The word is spreading.
Oh yeah, look, the only problem for most people is just the sheer cost of getting here. If there was a way that some of these people could get their car here a little bit easier, a little bit less cost, but I wonder whether Natex would even be big enough. But the fact that we've had to run the Summernats now annually is proof that the interest is out there. It's worthwhile. John, one thing that is interesting this year is that roll cages seem to be far more popular.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, of course, it's a good safety feature in a car too. I mean, it was shudder to think about a car falling over and finding out whether the roll cage is good or not. Now, there's a good car, Alan Reeke's Pantera. Not everybody's cup of tea, but
Very interesting car, though.
it is, and he's won a lot of awards around Australia, and deservedly so. It is a fantastic car.
Beautiful shebs.
Yeah, now, there you are, wrap your backside in fiberglass, as the saying. Corvettes are still the horniest looking cars that you can
I've got to
get.
go along with that one.
Yeah, that's a beautiful example of a car.
Again, the horsepower is there, loud and clear.
Yeah, there's a nice car. That's an interesting one. That's a 72 Pontiac.
And this one.
Yep. Yeah, step side Holden 1 tonner, which is very different. WB Caprice front, a very nice car.
A real crowd stopper, that one.
And different. I think it was probably the only one there with a step side back. As usual, tunnel rams are the go. And for those that are lucky enough to be able to...
Not everybody's cup of tea, this one, but certainly very interesting.
Yeah, very an eye-catching vehicle. That's a car that's been built for the new Super Street class.
Check this, another class. What is it?
That's Pro Street, that particular one. These cars are close to being race cars with plates on, same as this hatchback here.
Well, we ran into a gentleman who's been king of the hill for a while, and a familiar face at the Summernats, Rob Beecham. And we asked him how he set his standards when he starts building a car.
Yeah, I mean, standards obviously start off when you start early with other guys' cars. You'd see something that was better than yours and you'd go along those lines and try to copy or maybe improve on what they've done. And as it went on, I mean, the cars really improved hand over foot. Everything got real high tech, and all of a sudden, you know, like I'm using a top chassis builder and a lot of other guys are too, or if not, a lot of the mates involved in the same sport are very good at their trade, like a tin worker in this. It's a professional job, but he's a good friend of mine, you know, helped me out, and it works the other way. I'll help him out with his cars. I'm sure the American aspect comes in from their Pro Street point of view. We get flooded with their magazines and see their cars. We saw one of them here last year. You can't do any more than think, oh, why not be as good as that, or give it a try. It really does influence people, I'm sure it does. I don't think there's too many people who really want to keep coming back with the same car. I think everyone wants to improve. And I've been fortunate that with the people I've had help me and good friends for many years, every car I've worked on, their interest has been A1, and they've always, whatever I've had, agreed or given their opinion or improved on what I had before.
Street machine itself, it's a way of life for a lot of people, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah, it is. I suppose anything's a bit take it or leave it, but if you're really committed and put the big bucks and time into a car, and you've got a lot of other people too who help you, you can't just sort of go throw a car together and say it's yours and it's all on your own, because it's not possible. I mean, good on anyone who can do the whole car on their own, but something that's probably going to go out and win a lot of things and do well at everything has had a lot of people involved. So it gets in your blood like that. There's times too when you're doing the car, like last year, it wasn't finished totally for the event. Towards the end I thought, you know, this is just not going to work, it's not right, and a lot of people probably be like myself, they wouldn't be keen to bring a car down and finish. And I just had guys take time off work. They work around the clock. I mean, 4 and 5 in the morning. The morning we left to come down last year, we finished at 4, had 2 hours sleep and jumped in the car and come down, like just to make it look like a car. I mean, things like that. It's got to that stage where probably 90% of the people here now just live for the car in the last few months.
There's a lot of truth in what Rob says, John. The effort that's got to go into these cars and the support that your friends give you. There's an enormous amount of time goes into that. The fact that Rob owns one particular style of vehicle and that he can talk like that, it relates to so many other vehicles. It's true, there would be so many people there in the same boat.
Just quickly, this car. Oh, this truck, I should say.
Yeah, well, it's one of the extra attractions of the Summernats. It's a Walsing Matilda jet truck, and unfortunately we couldn't fire it up in its most exciting way with the flames and everything. It was a bit of a shame, but still it was another attraction there.
The line continued, didn't it? Again, doesn't matter where you look. There was always something to catch your eye, and again, the hours of work that went into these cars.
Yeah, well, look at the paint job. Look at the reflections on the side of that car. The effort here, it's just untold amounts of hours. I mean, if you employed somebody to build these vehicles for you and you just paid the dollars, you'd go broke so quickly, you almost go broke doing it yourself. There's another interesting feature that's very popular, the drop tanks, like on that SLR.
Yeah, there was a lot of Torontos there.
Yeah, they're a very popular vehicle.
Again, Chick, look at the detail of some of these cars. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, especially something like this Overkill Falcon. That's an extremely tough car.
Chick, this is the top Judge street machine. It was built by father and son combination, Scott McLaughlin and his dad. And we caught up with them, and here's another story of how a couple of people got into the street machine movement.
Well, we've always had fairly good street cars, and it was through a road accident 5 years ago. My son and myself was just about killed, that he couldn't play any physical contact sport, and same with myself, that we decided to, some friends, David Allen and Shane Burke and myself and Scott, that we would get a sport that a father-son relationship, and my son could be an active part, which is a non-contact physical sport, in which we found street machine and cars was that. The lads of other age would be playing football, racquetball and squash, and my son was a fairly handy motorbike scrambler, and through this motor accident he wasn't allowed to do that. So this is the thing that started us off thinking about going into it. And
Brought you and your son together a bit more?
we brought father and son relationship close together, and I think you can't put a price on that.
That's for sure. Scott, what about you? You going your father's footsteps now, or how far do you want to go with it?
I want to go further, I want it. So we've got all the detail there, just want to put a bit more into the engineering side of it.
Well, just briefly, tell us about this car, the idea, whose idea was it?
Yeah.
Scott, you.
First of all, we took the whole car off the shell, the shell off the chassis, and we stripped the chassis down and welded all the seams up and filed everything down. So there's about, I think, 3 months spent on the chassis alone. And then the body work, that all the seams were taken out, like welded up and filed back and filled. Then we got the interior and sort of nutted that out, what colour and pattern, to get everything done. And a jar of wood in the back, and we wanted something different apart from just having one piece of plank in the back. So we made a little shelf and designed that, put that in. And then I like the Caprice front, that looked pretty good.
The wheels.
And the wheels, we got them from Murray and Bob Jane, which took a lot of getting because you don't see many Inkies around. You see a lot of Simmons, like a dime a dozen. You can find them everywhere. So we wanted something different, so we got the Inkies. You don't find, most cars you look at, they got big blowers and big wide tyres, but they haven't got the detail. So we decided to go for detail, and now we want to combine the engineering side as well, so we'll have both. And maybe next year we'll have something a bit better.
And now here are some of the other winners at the Show and Shine. The winner of Top Station Wagon, Colin Ward in his beautiful white EH Holder. Third place in Pro Street was this black XC Ford of Mark Scaravisi. The awards at the Summernats were sponsored by the Blower Drive Service Company, and the winner of the best blown engine at the Summernats was this HJ Holden stepside owned by Bluey Hill. In the authentic class at the Summernats, the award went to Graham Bryce in this beautiful turquoise EH Holden sedan. Convertibles are the go in the summer, and at the Summernats, the top convertible award went to Doc O'Toole. Now, if fluoro colours are your go and you don't want to be missed anywhere, have a look at this van, and it took off the top van award at the Summernats. This beautiful little Gemini of Todd Belboo from Tamworth, he took off top sedan and top custom paint. And the car that is Part of Australia's heritage, this black FJ of Glenwright, he won top mild custom. Gary Hopwood's Wild Custom Convertible Fairlane, a fantastic car, very, very well put together. The top tutor award at the Summernats was this beautiful red XU1 Tirana of Brett Hayes. Howard Astle, with his red GT Falcon from Broken Hill, has taken home top undercarriage driveline, top engine bay and top engineered street machine. Possibly the most exotic car at the Summernats was Alan Reeke's Di Tommaso Pantera, and it won top coupe. In the Blower Drive Service Awards on Saturday, Robbie Beecham in his 87 Calais won top Pro Street, top Radical Engineering. This yellow SLR 5000 of Robert Williams took home a new award from the Summernats for top bodywork, and he also featured in the top 10 cars at the Summernats. Ivan Hans's Mr. Hyde Tirana was the winner of a new award at the Summernats, the top Super Street, and he also featured in the top 10. To honour the people with the artistic talent at the Summernats, the top mural award went to Dave Rogers with his turquoise HZ panel van. And the list goes on. Another fantastic winner at the Summernats, and this event supported by one of the major sponsors, Blower Drive Service. The second place winner in Pro Street was John Cannon with his red Tirana hatchback. The judges thought this car was fantastic, this 351 Falcon of Claude Straseri, and he won top interior. And last but not least is the winner of the top custom paint award at the Street Machine Magazine Summernats, this beautiful blue Falcon that was brought all the way from Western Australia.
Yeah, beautiful car, Chick, and every car there I reckon was a winner, and the crowd were winners too, because they had a chance to see these cars close up. But you know, as the day went on, the show and shine continued, but the grandstand started to fill up, as you can see, and what they were waiting for was one of the most popular driving events by far, our first contestant. I hope she's hanging on. Is this according to the Geneva Convention rules to this thing?
Well, there really aren't too many rules in there other than to get out there and have a good time. And
it's, yeah, well, of course, but yeah, it's strictly a fun thing. You'll notice the ground is pretty dry. The reason for this, they had an army tattoo there the week before, and the old tanks were marching around drying it out, but that didn't seem to matter too much to the drivers and that, you know, despite the dust and everything else.
No, the dust was a shame, John, but it didn't deter any of the people from getting out there and having a good time. In fact, we ran very late that day, and it was a bit of a shame, but on the other hand, it was very pleasing, because the reason we ran late is that there were so many people that wanted to go in these events.
Yeah, I think it went through the whole day into the afternoon, and yeah, certainly, I think the crowd got up to around easy 50,000 people, 15,000 people, I'm sorry, were there.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
And it's easy to see why. The cars were, the drivers were just having a ball. But there was one car that's going to come up in a minute which really caught the crowd's imagination, and it's the last people you expect to see in a driving event like this. Have a look at this car.
He's a regular runner in that car. It does very, very well.
Yeah, I seem to remember that car from last year.
Yeah, it was there.
Again, see how dry it is there. It was a shame, but again, it didn't seem to deter anybody from putting the pedal to the metal.
Yeah, is this the car you're talking about, John?
I tell you what, they went on to win this event.
What was interesting is when they put their entry in, one of the names on it was Michael Jackson. Hello, he's crept in here and we didn't know he was in town.
Well, the drivers continued there, and some of them looked like they got lost in the dust and everywhere else, but the crowd, they loved it.
Well, unfortunately, these people don't get an opportunity to drive in these sorts of events.
Well, outside it wasn't a riot, and the police weren't called in for any real problem. What they were doing is doing a terrific job with the crowd control, because there was as many people inside as there were outside, and you could see they're every vantage point, all shapes and sizes, and you probably didn't get a chance to see this lot because you were so busy on the inside, but you can see that they just queued up the whole weekend watching cars. They slept there, they just camped there, and they couldn't get enough.
Yeah, a lot of the locals often mention to me what a great time it is. They turn up on the side of the road with their banana lounges, and they really look forward to what's coming up.
Because the camera you bring a camera along, and it doesn't take much to prompt them to have a way, but you can see on their faces having a great time. And of course what they're waiting for is the almighty Super Cruise.
Yeah. Being led, of course, by the winners from the Blower Drive Service Awards on Saturday, and the part of the activities of the weekend is this Super Cruise. It really is a highlight, because one thing that people want to do is cruise along and look at each other and hear all their major winners.
The Super Cruise is definitely one of the major events, and I think it's the highlight. I don't think there's anything like it in Australia or in the world. Going down North Point Avenue, it's a sight to see.
Yeah, I mean, the events in the United States are a lot bigger than in Australia, and there I should mention there's the Peter Jackson Super Cruiser going past. That was a prize at the Summernats, just by guessing how much it could have cost to win. But the cruise is quite unique because we've had a lot of cooperation from the police and the town in general, and we're able to put this event on. But
just take a look at the crowds in the back there.
Yeah.
And that's the full length of North Point Avenue. People who don't know it, it's got to be at least, 3-4 kilometres long, and they were from one end to the other.
Yes, but we worked out that if the Super Cruise had been able to stay together in one single line, it was about 13.5 kilometres long.
No wonder they call it the Super Cruise.
It's a super effort to try and put it together, and we wonder whether it's an almost impossible task, but the people love it so much we've just got to keep on having it for as long as we can.
Because this highlights the delight of cruising, doesn't it, Chick? And this is on a grand scale, of course, but it's certainly, it just, you get caught up with it when you see it. These beautiful cars, gleaming, driving along, smiling faces, it's just a spectacle.
Well, as soon as the people arrive, as soon as the entrants get here and clean their car and go through registration, that's the first thing they want to do.
Where the boys enjoying themselves out here at the Go to Wow competition this morning. The final day of the 4-day horsepower party. Go to Wow events this morning and Burnouts this afternoon. They're right into it. There's some extremely good driving and some beautiful cars here this weekend. A little bit of cloud cover so the crowd don't get fried. Yesterday a very, very hot day, but fortunately a little bit of cloud cover without the rain. So the drivers have got it good and the crowd have got it good. And of course the event you're seeing at the moment is the Go to Wow. What we need is a good controlled start and an absolute spot-on finish to establish the best time, which determines the winner of the Go to Wow. The lowest elapsed time wins. A lovely old FJ Holden, some really nice FJs here this weekend, and this is Cheryl Hewitt from Werribee in Victoria. As we said, the Werribee folks really supporting it and very strong in the driving events. A nice controlled start from Cheryl there, just goes to show that the ladies can enjoy this as well as the guys. There's lots of girls driving cars around here this weekend, some of them very outstanding. One of the nicest cars here this weekend, an absolutely immaculate XU1 Tirana, and tell me where you find one that's not beaten to death. Ian Cowley from Preston in Victoria, a beautiful little car this one. Very, very original with the Globe 5 spokes that came out with this model, but this car beautifully prepared. Engine sounds very, very sweet. Nice runky little cam that endeared the XU1 Tirana, everybody. And we look at this car on the start line now. Remember the days when they used to do 160 miles an hour down the main straight of Bathurst. Man, they would have been a handful of car. Very controllable little unit, and he is right on the button in the finish line. Beautifully prepared car and extremely well driven. A credit to Ian Cowley from Preston in Victoria. Well, Olaf, what we got here is the Swedish funny car. Yes, who is this? Is this the Volvo racing team? Is this Nuts and Bolts, the famous Rover driver? I'm thinking not. This is Vince Harmer from Michelin ACT, driving a Swedish Holden taxi. Love them or hate them. There's room for everybody in the Summernats. I have a personal ambition with Volvos. I have this burning desire to be the first person in the world to jump 11 brand new Volvo sedans with a Cat D9 bulldozer. But meanwhile, Vince Harmer stopping it in the deep end. Actually, the best way to stop a Volvo is drop them into the bottom of a well. One of the cars on the start line now that starred in the show, won a whole bunch of prizes. A beautiful little Gemini sedan. Really trick little paint job. If you're into graphics, this is a car you're well worth looking at. Unfortunately, his car has been left in the judging area. Excellent preparation in every aspect of this vehicle. You can see his front number plate, if we can pick that up on the camera. One of the top 10 vehicles in the event. One of the cars chosen to lead the Super Cruise. And here we are on the start line, a magnificent 57 Chevy Bel Air, carrying camera equipment for us. You can see it off the right-hand rear guard. Yes, this is it. We've invented Nats Cam.
You bet.
The crowd packed to the hilt, as they have been all weekend. Yesterday at the Show and Shine and the Motorcana and Spira Spud, we had a grandstand full of people and a Show and Shine area packed to the eyeballs. This big block of flat Chevy, under control, right into the finish line. And one of the nicest cars at the Summernats, Lizzie Smith from East Lake. She'll probably kill me for calling her Lizzie. Here with a husband and small child, and Lizzie likes doing the driving herself. My particular wife is in love with this car. We were Anglia people back when. Very striking pink car. Car powered by a 6-cylinder Holden motor with an automatic transmission. A really neat unit. And as we said, Lizzie here with her small child and husband, all enjoying the 89 Summernats, the biggest horsepower party the country has ever seen. Good one, Lizzie. Ron Whelan has some information on this yellow Chevelle coming into the starting line. One of the immaculate American cars at the 89 Summernats.
Milton, this car's an exceptional thing, and I think it really needs a mention. The guy spent $5,000 in fuel to get here, come all the way from Darwin, hit 4 kangaroos, and it was one of the most exceptional cars in detail just to come through the scrutineering area.
We see a ginormous big Ford 9-inch chrome rear end under this car. From where we sit, where you sit, you can see those twin 4-barrels up through the bonnet. Nice set of mags. A guy just really enjoying the biggest horsepower party the country has ever seen. Read all about it in Street Machine magazine. There'll be immense coverage of the event. The event getting bigger and better every year. XWGT on those thin centre lines into the deep end. A nice control run. That centre line wheel carrying that little 3.5-inch tyre on the front and fatties on the back. Mustangs are bigger than big this weekend. There must be Mustangs coming out of every Mustang garage in the country. Mike Murray from Mount Waverley, Victoria, in this blue 66 notchback, sorry, we've got the different stripes on the side, twin 4-barrels up through the bonnet. One of the nicest Mustangs, the car that made the Mustang famous, the original pony car, 66 notchback. And everybody having a can of Coke, flushing out the system with a little bit of Drano there this morning. Wheels been off the line. That little small block Windsor there howling as he gets off it and onto the picks into the deep end, right on the button. And here is one of my favourite cars of the whole weekend. Peter Gilchrist from Wagga in the Labrador Pearl Austin A40 ute. Car has a V8 transmission, dragway mags, a nice little stake bed back. P&P Performance there from Wagga Wagga. The guys have been partying. They had a great pile of them in the back of it in the Super Cruise. A great time. Reminiscent of good old Gasser back in the old drag racing days. The 1949 Austin A40 utility. In an immaculate black V8 VJ Charger. This car has been in this condition for some years, and Ray drives it in anything he can get involved in. Lives on the Gold Coast in Labrador. Up to the top end. An extremely healthy Chrysler in that car. Ray trying to keep the engine running as he pumps the brakes and throttles simultaneously to pull it up right where he needs to. So we've got Chrysler power, we've got Ford power, and we've got General Motors power. And like we said, up through the bonnet is the way to go. We can see the bug catcher on that car there, and the crowd packing in everywhere. Absolutely packing the facility for the Go-to-Wawa and the Burnout competition. The most exciting and interesting competition of the driving events here at the 89 Summernats. Clive Hunter from Pearcedale in Victoria, really giving it some in the Go-to-Wawa. Who said you can't run modified cars in Queensland? A Windsor Ford engine Mercedes, put together as a plaything by the boys at Race Car Engineering up in Brisbane. This is Glenn Randall from Marsden. Glenn works in the automotive wrecking business, and he said he got a great deal of pleasure of hacking up this Mercedes and putting an American V8 engine in it. Said they're a nice car, but they also need some horsepower. A 351 Windsor in this car, and the crowd just cruising it in. Glenn giving it a footfall and using that German technology to stop the thing at the other end, right on the button. Good one, Glenn. He must have looked after himself a little last night. And all the kids screaming with delight, or just screaming just for the heck of it. Car running Simmons wheels. This is Kenny Anderson from Shepparton in Victoria. Shepparton, the home of real tough machinery. There's been tough stuff out of Shepparton for years. And you see the coloured armbands on the people there, saying that they are entrants in the event and they're staying on the site. Meanwhile, Kenny Anderson with a classic example of a beautiful XP utility, running those three-piece Simmons wheels. Bug catcher up through the bonnet. Watch the butterflies, the red butterflies in the bug catcher. When he cracks the throttle off the start line, the butterflies will open, and Kenny's away to a fairly quiet start, but that doesn't always count badly for you. If you keep it under control, it can help you with good times, and it's been good times, party, 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 all weekend at the 89 Summernats. John Willerton, all the way from Willoughby, went back to Melbourne yesterday to get parts for this engine. Ran it in 30 seconds at about $5,000. Just sounding a little bit off the starting line. On the picks, nice control into the deep end. Puts that little 3.5-inch centerline wheel onto the finish line as he groped for the beam and found it. And then cameras. There's been cameras everywhere. Kodak will love this event. Brian Scabarris from Blacktown, and right after this car we're going to have a little break. But Brian not waiting for any kind of break. All he wants is a good break off the start line. A really tough XY ute, fuel injected. You can see the Speedway style air cleaners on each injector tube up through the bonnet in this car. Number plates Inject 351. Little Speedway style air cleaners on the injectors up through the bonnet as Brian bumps it into the start beams. Ray Dennis from Seven Hills smoking the bags. A good hard burnout to get his tyres nice and hot and sticky in preparation for his first pass here in the Go-to-Wawa event this morning. A capacity crowd at Natex for the 89 Summernats. Yesterday, an amazing sight for the show and shine. The grandstand packed to the eyeballs, watching the Motorcana and Spira Spud, and the show and shine area absolutely swarming with thousands of people. The event getting bigger and better as every year goes by. Ray Dennis now into the deep end, locks him up, and the crowd like a little bit of inspired driving. Over the finish line by about a car and a half. We get the hang of things. Back again for the 89 Summernats, Greg Thompson from Ocean Grove, Victoria, in his big block Chevy powered Capri. The guy won the Burnout competition in grand style last year, and he's back again to give us some more of it. Into the Go-to-Wawa, really frying the hides off the start line there, obliterating the Peter Jackson sign with good time smoke, and ready for some more action in the Go-to-Wawa. We've got them all lined up. There's some more winners back in the lineup. but featured in last year's event. And they're back with more enthusiasm for the 89 Summernats, the biggest horsepower party yet to happen to this part of the world. Greg with a footfall off the starting line, wagging the tail all the way to the finish. On the picks and slamming the front end onto just short of the start finish line. Oh boy, cost him a bit of time, that one. Last year's winner of the Go to War event. This is Lindsay Harrison, here with his lovely lady for the weekend. Lindsay's from Mount Waverley in Victoria. This car was sounding obscene last year, but making bulk horsepower, and Lindsay really had his act together. This guy is a very calculating driver. Now, you might love him, you might hate him, but rotary Mazdas do make horsepower. They're a nice, light little manoeuvrable car, and, you know, they're legal in most areas. And you can bolt the big engines in the little cars. Lots of things you can do with chook cooker rotisseries. Not particularly fond of them myself, but you've got to respect them. You see some of the crowd, they're just laying back, lapping up the action. Lindsay Harrison, last year's winner of the Go to War. Car is to be splendid in Moree metal flake there, in undercoat, in preparation for the event. We do like the cars to look tidy, but with the weather we've had, a lot of people couldn't get their cars painted. But Lindsay, very controlled driver, and is just on the button in the deep end, just sitting back, cannot get enough. More cars, more cars. We need more chrome, we need more superchargers. Feed it to us, feed it to us. We need wheel cuts, superchargers, Mustangs, tyre smoke. Look at that. Is this a car or is this a car? Gary Myers from Wagga. A supercharged General Motors engine black Ford Mustang. Giving the crowd what they want. More and more of everything to do with cars. A big 671 GM blower atop a Chevrolet engine, 2 4-barrels, and a bird catcher. Car running a full chrome roll cage. Makes bulk horsepower. Frying the tyres off the start line. This is Michelle Shaw from Parks. Shares the driving with hubby. She's got the heaviest foot in the family. Michelle here last year, has come back this year with a supercharger on top of the engine. This lady is one lady Leadfoot. Cruise the streets, having a good time, waving and talking to everybody, and everybody saying, love your car. This thing is heavy. Used to turn it off at the intersection so she could have a chat to you. A really tough car. Go, lady, go. Must be a relative of the little old lady from Pasadena. On the button. Good one, Michelle. Carrying Natcam on the side of the car. Little English Ford Escort. The early model. Complete with V8 and automatic transmission. Cruised it around the streets. You can drive this thing everywhere, and of course with those liberal Victorian road rules, part of the enlightened automotive community, make the road rules down in Victoria, allow people a little bit more freedom. A good hard start, and right on the wire in the deep end. Red Monaros, followed by bright t-shirts, and then we come to the starting line and find a glow plug Mazda. Right painters in. Vic Elphis from Matraville in New South Wales with his baby one Mazda chook cooker rotisserie. You might hate them, but they make horsepower. They sound disgusting, but they make horsepower. And they're fun to drive. And that's the secret of what's happening here this weekend. Everything is fun to drive. The idle sound of a rotary Mazda can decalcify your whole spinal column if you are exposed to it for more than 35 seconds. But Vic really pouring on the horsepower of this little car, slapping on the skiddaroos and pulls it up right on the button. Con Elfers from Matraville in a real blitzer. A nitrous oxide injected 1 ton Holden ute. Tougher than tough. The only tray truck I've ever seen with wheel tubs. And the big blue laughing gas bottle on the back. That is a real load of horsepower. Violent axle tramp as the car heads for the deep end and slides almost into the hay bales. Peter Wing, a really nice guy. Guy enjoys his street cruising. This is one of the most immaculate Tiranas that you have ever seen in your life. The guy has spent a squillion dollars featuring those Simmons wheels, a full crossover Pro Street roll cage. The guy has got a mega horsepower 308 in this car. Just loves giving it some. Part of the local Tirana Club, right on the button. Extremely well done, Peter Wing. And there's a can of breakfast. Yes, different types of breakfast served everywhere. 13-ounce cans of steak and eggs. Graham Stevenson with a little bit of burnout action there prior to going up to the starting line for the Gotawara. Of course, more burnouts this afternoon, the Ultimate Exuberance event. The crowd just saying, enough, I can't get enough of this. My eyes are tired. My eyes are dim, I cannot see, but give more action unto me. Severe cases of street machine fever all over the ground this weekend, and the treatment being handed out to them. This is the ultrasonic treatment for the cure of street machine fever. The sound of screaming tyres, bright paint, superchargers, and people having a darn good time at the biggest horsepower party ever to be staged in the country, the 89 Street Machine Magazine Summernats. Just to prove that it's not difficult being green, the Kermit disease seemed to have spread. Adrian Taliana from Cateye in New South Wales. Capacity crowd, just loving every minute of the action at this wonderful Natex complex in Canberra. An ideal situation, ideally located for the running of an event of this type. Trent Robinson from Carringbar in New South Wales, giving us a large dose of accelerator. A 307 Chevy in that car. A little bit of sideways staging there. The Sonia Sideways Racing Team, the people loving it, jumping to their feet and photographing every piece of the action. Mark Scaravisi came last year in his lime green Falcon Nats 88 car. Since purchased the ex-Wayne Daly Race Car Engineering Falcon Pro Stocker. Running the car now in the Pro Street section at the Summernats. He's gone away from his methanol burning fuel injected Cleveland setup. Now running 2 4-barrels under that Pro Stock hood scoop. Car having a fairly large spit through the carburetors halfway down the track there. As we said, street machine fever spreading very rapidly this weekend, and that's part of the stuff that cures it or encourages it. Tyre smoke, engine noise, and good times. And nearly stopped it on the button. That would have been a nice strong pass, a little short of the mark. And then race car mode, this car is normally seen lapping the Thunderdome in Calder Raceway in Melbourne at around 200 miles an hour. There we go. Mal Rose from our sponsors, one of our sponsors, Speed Pro Engineering. This is the car that you can win absolutely free. The Peter Jackson's 58 Chevy Biscayne Cruiser. It's giving a pass to show the people what they could take home this afternoon. Car will be drawn completely free of charge. And here's our friend back that had all the drama with his broken blower belt before. Gary Coggan has been into everything this weekend except the ladies' showers. Has a new blower belt. We can see that GM style supercharger sitting up on the left side of the engine, driven by a rubber Gilmer pulley belt, and he's done it again. He's determined to mongrel that engine. Mongrel it says, and mongrel it's going on him. Still the crowd giving him some applause. It's a bad way to get it though when you've got to break your machinery. Lindsay Jordan from Nowra really putting out that Peter Jackson fun smoke in the Peter Jackson's Go to Woa competition. A fairly serious sounding engine in this car, all under the bonnet, so that would be a real street sleeper, and the crowd appreciating every pass in the Peter Jackson's Go to Woa. Michael Swan from Padstow in New South Wales. Twin 4-barrels on this Kingswood ute, putting him out of immense horsepower as he puts the pedal to the metal and punts it down to the finish line to stop it dead on the tracks in the Peter Jackson's Go to Woa event. Peter Fitzpatrick from the Street Machiners of the ACT works his heart out as an official of the meeting, but still finds time to go into the driving events. And Peter won this event, I think, 2 years in a row. Is quite an effective Go to Woa driver. And there's a style to it. Fitzy with it on the wood, calls the car broomstick. I don't know the indication of that, and just pulls it up on the line. Some people wearing down a little bit, but everybody packing the place to the eyeball. Robbie Beecham now with it finally running. Had a little bit of a fuel up problem before. This is the car that won Pro Street. One of the top 10 cars of the event. Car that won Pro Street. Led the Super Cruise out of Matex down Northbourne Avenue, just to prove that Pro Street can be driven around the place. A really immaculate car, full chassis car, full aluminium interior, built by Well Engineering in Brisbane. Rise the hides all the way to the finish line. Yes, and hit reverse gear as soon as the car came to a halt. A little bit of Sonia sideways staging there, and Robbie Beecham's away. This is John Cannon in the Pro Street Tirana. John Cannon with a 350 cubic inch Chevy in the Tirana, set up for Super Sedan A class in drag racing. See the parachute there indicates the car runs in excess of 130 miles an hour in the quarter mile. Uses the wheelie bars for when the back suspension squats under acceleration to keep the car running straight. But one thing we do not need is rain. John Cannon breaking the tyres loose in the Pro Street Tirana and stalling it right on the button in the deep end. Cute little Lizzie in a cute little car, the winner of the Peter Jackson's Go to Woa competition. A little girl here with her husband and small baby. You can see the baby seat in the back of the car, really enjoying the 89 Summernats. Hitting the ice patch where the track is a little wetter than normal. The engine revs go skyward. Michael is not getting off the loud pedal. The driver's really brought on by the enthusiasm of the crowd, standing packed in the rain. Their favourite event, the Summernats Burnout competition. Of course, the overseas events don't have any driving events. They are merely static displays. The Australian event, of course, with the added flavour of driving events. I think the big wedge engine has just brewed itself a cup of coffee. Stephen Walter from Marino in South Australia. In spite of the weather, the action coming on hot and strong, and I think faster than ever before. The 89 Summer Nationals, the event has been bigger than big. Every year the event grows in stature and style, and we see something new. This year, paintwork has been brighter, superchargers have been more plentiful. The spirit has been the same. It's been party, party, party for 4 days. This the 4th and final day of the 89 Summernats, and the party spirit continues. The crowd loving every minute of it, standing shoulder to shoulder, packed into the Natex complex for the Burnout competition. A thing that brings everybody to their feet, inspires both the spectators and the drivers. You're afraid of brute horsepower, you better bring someone to hide behind, because it's brute horsepower all the way in the 89 Summernats Burnout competition. In spite of the unfriendly, unkind conditions, we haven't had anybody into the guardrail yet. Let's hope it doesn't happen, because the guys put a lot of effort into their cars, and while we like to see them enjoy it, we don't like to see them hurt their machinery. Stuart Smith with that little Holden engine really working hard. Stewie Smith, entrant number 733 this weekend. There's a lot of cars come through the gate. Stewie Smith going perilously close to the guardrail there. Kenny Anderson now from Shepparton in Victoria, and there's been some tough cars come out of Shepparton over many years, and Kenny really giving the tyres heaps right from the opening start. Had not even crossed the starting line, and he had the smoke covering the car completely. A very immaculate XP Falcon Ute. Completely disappearing from our view at times. A car that looks this good can go this hard. A static, a really good static for Kenny. On the spot, cook him down. We know that he's there, but we don't know where he's gone. We can't find our film crew. They're in there somewhere. We've found the Falcon. Man, this guy really knows how to lean on a car. I think he's had to stop for a little while to find out where he was. I think this has to be the best static performed so far. We had one previously from the XP Ute, but this is a long-held static. This thing must be just about digging its way to Newcastle by now. Come out wherever you are. We know you're in that smoke somewhere. Glenn Crabb really handing out some punishment, and the car taking it well. And of course, removing your bonnet in this event is an absolute advantage, because you get a lot of cold air in that. The crowd really loving it. waving to the crowd just like he's on a Sunday drive. This is absolutely no trouble to me, says Darryl Burke. I do this all the time. And a classic number plate there, 350069 for a 69 Camaro with a 350-inch Chevy on board. Excellent choice of number plates. We know you're in there somewhere. All dressed up and nowhere to go with the nose facing the guardrail. Chris Christou from Moe in Victoria. Up there on the Newell Highway, a tough-looking ex-wife. Moe up there in the Victorian heartland, a real fine part of the country. HO 775. And HO in this case could stand for hot operator, because Chris has really got those tyres cooking. Got the sunroof open so he can keep the smoke out of the car or get the smoke into the car. Depends whether you like it or hate it, but this is a good hit for Chris Christou. This has got to be a good start line procedure. This man is making more smoke in the short space of time than most of the other competitors this afternoon. Good one for Chris Christou. I don't know whether he's waving or suffocating. We asked Chris Christou early in the day, do you smoke Peter Jackson's? He said no, mainly BF Goodrich. I'll say one thing about this city, they sure build the roundabout small here, Myrtle. Chris Christou has to turn his headlights on and stop for a while so he can find his way out of his own tyre smoke. This has to be a top contender, I really do believe. It's hard to remember names, we should write them down, but in my estimation, this guy has got to be in the top three. Absolutely. Listen to that Ford, remaining crisp and strong throughout all of this abuse. That engine has done enough revs to go around 2 laps of Bathurst. The wild man from Moe, I'd like to stand up and cheer for that one. What an exciting run. Absolutely incredible. That's a perfect example of brute horsepower 3. And still they come, a huge lineup still at the back of the starting line to get into the biggest event of the 89 Summernats. The Peter Jackson Burnout competition. A really good long-held static. Now, they don't let you do this at drag strips because it digs holes in the pavement. But out here, this is what the strip is made for. It's here for the pure pleasure of shredding rubber. Boy, oh boy, David Yates not looking for adhesion, looking for a wheel spin and doing a real fine job. This is a good, long, hard hill static. Wait for it. I think you're about to open the Christmas Cracker Jack any minute now. There it is. What is left of a road tyre?
There it is. What is left of a road tyre?
Oh dear.
Let's hear it for
David Yates looking back to find out where it went. Yes, he's got one left. Don't tell me he's going to have another try.
This is great.
Yes, sirree.
Magazine Summernats.
That should be worth $1 million to Bridgestone, that coverage. Bridgestone tyres, drink and smoke, doo-dah, doo-dah. He's lost the whole tread area of the tyre, but he's determined to wear out the rest until it's completely gone. There it is. There's the rest of the other one. Yes, now Petter's suspension would be interested in that. You notice the handling of this car. Yes, bald tyres affect the handling of your car. A little tub car with a narrowed rear axle. Put a set of narrower tyres. You see the race cam unit on the Nats cam unit rather on top of this car to help us get some extra coverage. The car fitting a smaller set of back tyres than he normally uses. That's why they're so far inboard. Car normally runs absolutely ginormous tyres. Dino Regino from Wangaratta. Completely covering the whole Burnout strip area with tyre smoke. The boy from Wangaratta doing a real fine job, and I'd love to see the film that emanates from that Nats cam camera on the roof of the car. And the engine starting to hiccup there. He would be very wise to get off that now. This is what is known as a Fitzburger. I think the engine is definitely set enough, and the molten rubber and shredded wire hanging out of the tyres on that car is absolutely incredible. Davey Bunge now from Coleraine in Victoria in the big brutal XY Falcon GT. I don't know how many cars we've had through the Burnout competition so far this afternoon, but this has to be the biggest and best Burnout competition ever staged at a Summernats. And probably a pretty good reason why we built our own Burnout and Donut pad. I really think that the roads within the Natex complex would not have been able to stand what we've laid out here this afternoon. But this facility was specially created by Chick Henry, the promoter of the event, to accommodate these two events specifically. Kevin Clark from Werribee, one of the Werribee wild men now, disappears instantly into a cloud of smoke and gives the hay bale a little bit of a nudge.
Trying to take home them hay bales. Back to the car again and Williams. Split the tyres.
Whoa, the first big guardrail cruncher of the day. What a shame. A really top car. But a little bit of panel work in that job. Now he'll probably get right back into it. Heaps and heaps of molten rubber pouring off the tyres this afternoon for the biggest Burnout competition ever staged in this country. The 89 Summernats Fritter Spectacular. We've got molten rubber everywhere. We've had incendiary pieces of burning rubber flying from the tyres. We've had tyres go to lay blow all afternoon. More burnouts never seen in the history of Australian street machining. The 89 Summernats Brute Horsepower 3, the biggest burnout event ever staged in the land. And an innovation we can see on the top of this car on your screen right now, Nats Cam, a setup that helps us get the sound and some unusual shots from the car as it actually moves around trying to chase our cameramen away. Some of the guys here are really working their cars hard this afternoon in an attempt to take that elusive prize. Glenn Rogers out of Barrel in New South Wales in a really immaculate burgundy XC ute, complete with fuel wing in the back. Man really inspired into the art of frying rubber. Car's number plate is XC460, so I guess we have a 460 cubic inch big block Ford under the bonnet of that XC ute. And 460 cubic inch Fords are just fine for deep frying rubber. An engine with a very long stroke and a rather large bore, giving you that immense capacity. For those of you that talk in milk bottles, a 460 cubic inch engine is in excess of 7 litres. The old saying that used to apply in drag racing, there is no substitute for cubic inches, is just as true to the burnout procedure. Immense torque from these big block engines, whether they be Chevrolets or Fords or Chryslers, certainly help you in this process of cooking rubber to the nth degree out here at the 89 Summernats Burnout competition. I think we're going to have another fritter critter here this afternoon with Glenn Rogers' car. The torture that those tyres are taking before they even get to the donut area is just incredible. The guy has laid out large quantities of black chips. Bits of rubber everywhere on the burnout strip. An incredible display this afternoon by so many people of brute horsepower to aid in the making of Brute Horsepower 3, the record of the biggest 4-day horsepower party ever in the history of the country. There's the good guys, the suicide squad, the guys who've got to walk up beside these cars while they're in the process an incredible amount of smoke from Glenn Rogers before he even gets to the donut pad area. This guy has to take the prize for the most amount of burnout smoke on the first half of the track. A really strong machine. big block forwards forever. A man after my own heart. Hello. He didn't just blow it, he blew it to pieces. Round of applause. Jumps into the back of the ute to have a look, see what's happened to the tyre. And he's got a Pink Floyd t-shirt on. Man's got good taste in music too. No, he hasn't blown it. She's just thrown the tread right off it. So he's going to keep it going until it goes right away. Absolutely incredible shot of Glenn Rogers. Hello, an excellent coverage of how they go when they blow. Alan Reekie Jr. handling the wheel of the XF Falcon Ute. The Reekie family are all here for the 89 Summernats. Dad's here with a prize-winning Ford-powered De Tomaso Pantera coupe that took the prize in the coupe section in the judged events, and Alan Jr. handling the driving in the Burnout event in this immaculate XF Falcon Ute, really laying down some hard patches of rubber to add to the amazing amount of shredded rubber that's already on the surface this afternoon. If by chance you lose your way, consult the Canberra Tourist Authority. They can guide you out of any situation in this city. If covered by fog or smoke, stay where you are until you are found by a police car. Robbie Cusack from Ingleburn now. In a Monaro that carries the number plate Vicious. And it's got some vicious horsepower in this car. Enough to fry the tyres right off the rims. An incredible amount of rubber on the track. I think this would be a newsworthy item, just to see how much rubber there actually is out there. Boy, oh boy, have we chucked a patch or two this afternoon. Robbie Cusack skating the front wheels. The front wheel locked up there as he does his darndest in the donut section. Car carrying one of our Nats Cam units. Some interesting film will come from those. Be included in the making of Brute Horsepower 3. Keeps the foot on the wood all the way across the Peter Jackson finish line. Robbie Cusack from Ingleburn. Very tricky. One of those cars that has been in absolute immaculate state all weekend and comes out here and gets a real footfall. But next weekend you'll find it just as immaculate as it started this weekend's activities. The 8 injector stacks sticking up from the top of the Cleveland engine, helping that car make this brute horsepower to fry the tyres. Ford power, Chevy power, or Mopar power. It's all been brute horsepower this weekend at the 89 Summernats. Some incredible machinery. seen out here on the Burnout pad this afternoon, and still the action comes on hot and strong. After 4 hours of continual Burnout action, the crowd remains rooted to their place, have not moved an inch. A capacity crowd on either side of the track, not moving away after 4 hours of fantastic Burnout action. Second prize in the guardrail crunching competition goes to Vlado Rakic, leaning the beautiful XA into the guardrail. An unfortunate circumstance, but things like that happen. Gary Myers from Wagga in the supercharged black Mustang. Incredible horsepower of this black Mustang makes him disappear into the tyre smoke. I haven't seen hide the hair of this car on the video since he took off from the start line. Completely enveloped in tyre smoke. We've got to find a cameraman who can find him coming out of that grey haze. That big 671 GM blower pumping the air into that engine, making incredible horsepower for the 89 Summernats Burnout competition. Boy, oh boy, have the Victorian guys got their act together this year. We have seen more rubber smoke from Victorian cars than ever before. The Vic's really serving it up in the Burnout competition here at the 89 Summernats. Tough is the name of the game if you've got Victorian number plates at the 89 Summernats. Third prize in the guardrail crunching competition. And Victoria scores 2-1 in hitting guardrails. It's sad to see the guys knocking their machinery about, but it's hard to know where you're going in all that tyre smoke.
Great job out there, very hard bar. Victoria. Yeah, got the lights on, so you can see where he's going. Really pushing out now, brother.
Really pumping out that brute horsepower. Now he's got himself away from the guardrails. This car makes an incredible amount of smoke. Good white smoke and nice and high, so it's really throwing it around. Greg Harper out of Hoppers Crossing. And a little pro street style to run.
Oh yeah, let's give you a real big hand. Come on, give me more than anything.
Really gave it plenty. Go till you blow. And Greg running it till the back tyre let go completely.
Now trying to going up there, Green. Really smoke up. Smoke up, maybe that's not what that was with Jackson. And the main sponsors of the driving events. And he's got it again.
That black car's got something against officials.
I don't know what's wrong with these black cars, but they really don't like these officials at all.
I think we'll have to give a bravery award to cameramen this weekend.
Look at that smoke come out. Now, you're having a good time here at the Summernats 89.
cranking the wheel around in an attempt to keep the car from skidding across the track and into the guardrail, while he keeps the other foot flat on the wood to keep the tyres turning. I get the impression that some of these guys have done this before. Couple of the plugs starting to misfire, but still the engine keeps on making horsepower. Mike Swan giving it no quarter. Pedal to the metal, foot on the wood, all the way to the finish of the event. He does not want any inflated tyres on those back rims by the time he's finished. Mike Swan, a real expert competitor in the area of donuts, holding it in there. Into some figure eights as well. There we go, back round the other way. Really can throw that Holden Kingswood ute around. Big long static. This could be the finish of these tyres. He's got it spinning and hooked up in the one spot. Mike fighting the wheel. The car wants to return to the starting line, but Mike's not ready to go back there. Spins it around again and heads back to the donut pad. And out through the Peter Jackson exit gate. Greg Thompson from Ocean Grove in Victoria. Car is powered by a big block Chevrolet engine. Really won it in fine style last year. Not making a lot of smoke in the start line area, unfortunately, because to come out on top, once he got into the donut pad last year, he showed where his expertise lay, but would lose a few points because of his not making as much horsepower or smoke away from the starting line. A little bit hard to score well. You've got to do well in each section. Like Greg running fairly good new rubber on the back of the car, which sometimes is a disadvantage, but he's into what he likes doing best. This is where the man came out on top last year. Gets the thing motivating, figure eights and donuts, and just stays into it. Greg, in fact, almost wasted his engine last year. Seized a cam bearing in the big block Chevy. That's the only thing that got him to turn the engine off. He was into it as far as he could go until that time. Ideal car for this event. A very big torquey engine with lots of grunt and a nice little light manoeuvrable car. Something will get the tyres spinning easily and hold them there without using 10 squillion revs, although Greg is not sparing the throttle pedal at all. Now Greg going for the big static turn. A good long hard static at the end of the run could well bring him out in front here. The crowd most impressed. Many of these guys here last year remembering the incredible pass by Greg Thompson. Ran late in the day that time as well. Goes back up the track and keeps serving it up to it. Just how much can a koala bear and just how much can Greg Thompson's engine take? Minutes and minutes of high RPM operation, making tyre smoke. Complete no mercy. This guy has got to be half a chance to win a back-to-back Summernats Burnout competition. Went one better this year, didn't blow the engine, but he burnt the tyres, gave them all they could take. Running up onto the boot of the car as he did last year. And the engine lets go. You can't be good, be spectacular. He was good and spectacular. What a man. That, just as well he's the last car, that would be an extremely hard act to follow.